Well, perhaps you've got something to say, son.
Yeah. I'd like to know how you make this noise without bashing Janet's vocal cords to pieces. If I do it for half a minute, I get a sore throat.
Welcome back to Grab Your Brew, and if you're new, welcome.
Please like and subscribe.
This is a much requested episode, but first we would like to hit on some highlights.
For people who would like to donate to the Dan Riviera's family after his tragic loss, please head over to hauntedwarrenhouse.com, link in the bio.
This is being run by one of our favourites, Alton, at the Overnight channel. Alton and Matt Rife also bought the one and only Ed and Lorraine Warren house, along with their haunted museum, which was in the making way before Dan's passing. I just wanted to throw that out there. So us here at the channel would like to congratulate them on this amazing milestone for their show and their investigating.
Now grab your brew as we talk about the Enfield Haunting.
Your home was considered the most haunted home in Britain. Unlike many other encounters we hear of, this one isn't amongst the ruins of a grand old house or an ancient building, but a very ordinary semi-detached council house.
In 1977, single mother Peggy and her 4 children, she had Margaret 13, Janet 11, Billy 7, and she had a son named Johnny, I believe he was 10 years old, who during term time was at a special boarding school, and they moved into this council house. What happened next would electrify the nation. Strange knocks, flying objects, children levitating. Over 18 months, tens of witnesses reported phenomena too bizarre to ignore.
Cut here. Investigators from the Society of the Psychical Research believe more than mere pranks were happening here. Skeptics disagreed. Tonight we unravel the facts behind the legend. Opinions of the alleged hauntings have been divided over years. Some believe it was a result of a true poltergeist activity. Some believe it was a variety of mental illnesses, while others believe that it has been just an elaborate hoax created by a very imaginative, troubled young girl.
It all began August the 31st, 1977. Peggy heard noises, so bed wobbling, chests of drawers sliding across the floor. When Peggy went into her children's bedroom to find them huddling together, incredibly afraid, they were claiming that Billy's bed was moving in the chest of drawers also, as if to trap them in the room.
Outgoing child, very energetic. I love swimming and I love sports.
I was sort of helpful towards my younger brothers and sisters. It was just like a normal family life, really.
We had no knowledge of the history of the house before the happenings and the events started.
This racket started to occur in the back bedroom and some disturbance. And my mum came into the room and she said, "Johnny and Janet, pack it up and sleep. You've got to get up in the morning." And the chest of drawers near the wall and the door had slid into sort of the doorway.
There was like incidents that happened to me, like the curtain which wrapped itself around my neck, which was quite life-threatening for me. And it brought it home to me that this could kill you.
And we was all in a terrible state, very scared and tired of it. And it got worse as the time went on. We got more exhausted with it.
It's what happens in the supernatural demonic world. In order to infiltrate someone's life, they don't just, oh, I now have you possessed. They have to weaken you by creating turmoil, noises in the night, things that go bump. They start to elevate fear and they begin to feed on that.
Shut up! That made me jump.
For the family,
I've seen that
when
movie a
weird
million
things started to
times.
happen, they actually did the right thing and they called the cops.
The first few times this happened, Peggy told them to stop playing around and telling stories until Peggy then claimed she saw the drawers moving herself, along with knocking and sounds. Understandably, incredibly afraid, The family ran to their neighbours Vic and Peggy Nottingham for help. Vic assisted by looking around the house, but he saw nothing unusual and heard no sounds. He then called the police.
At 1 a.m, the police arrived at 284 Green Street. They allegedly heard the noises. They've checked the attic, the pipes and all that, but found nothing. Before leaving, policewoman WPC Carolyn Heaps observed a chair sliding around 4 feet unassisted across the floor. Despite these events, it was concluded that it wasn't a police matter. I mean, it's not like you can arrest a poltergeist, is it?
I mean, no, because
So, enter Maurice Groves.
Sorry, I was imagining you talking a ghost.
I know, could you imagine that? So, enter Maurice Groves and Guy Leon Playfair, 2 SBR investigators who spent over 18 months documenting events in the house. 18 months.
That's a lot.
It is.
Maurice Groves and Playfair conducted 180 visits, totaling more than 1,000 hours of observation and over 140 hours of recording. The phenomenon included barking and whistling, noises coming from Janet, jet propulsion, levitation, fire crates ripping from the wall, and multiple voices, especially Bill Wilkinson. A reported spirit heard speaking around his death also played in the large character inside the actual film. Now, the film itself has Bill as a protective man. Did you notice that? And then has the nun as the bad guy, but that is not what was documented. I just wanted to add that bit in there.
Well, The Conjuring is only very loosely
based on it, yeah.
Bill, there was no nun.
No, the nun is actually a spirit that plagued Lorraine Warren herself. But anyway...
Yeah, demon wanted.
Yeah, it was a demon. Yeah. A purported spirit heard speaking around his death. Guy Playfair, who was an investigator for the case, said that Ed and Lorraine showed up uninvited, but they only stayed for 1 day. It is alleged that Ed Warren told Playfair that the coverage could earn the case a lot of money. So who were the Warrens? The house that they just purchased.
I remember meeting my husband. I had gone to the movies. Then when we left, there was a little ice cream parlor there. And he says, I'll buy all you girls a Coke. I never drank Coke in my life. I don't like Coke. And I ordered an ice cream soda. He told me from day one, he knew I was a gold digger.
Nice.
He went into the Navy on his 17th birthday. When he came home on survivor's leave, she got married on that leave with him because his ship had gone down and he was only one of like 69 survivors on that ship.
For those of you that don't know, that's Lorraine and Ed's son-in-law.
Ed was passionate about helping people because Ed lived in a haunted house. He lived in a haunted house in Bridgeport, Connecticut from age 5 to age 12. So he said to me, when I got out of the Navy, I said, I'm going to find out if other people had the same experiences that I did when I lived in that house.
From the time that I was about 7 years old, I remember seeing lights around people. I realized that I was communicating. My Catholic faith is very, very important to me and still is today. And that helped me to help others.
Ed, he was an artist. He went to art school for a couple years after the Navy. And he used to read about haunted houses. And he would drive to these places with Lorraine. And he would take a sketch pad and pencil with him. And he'd pull up in front of the house. He'd sketch the house, take about 30 minutes. And then he'd hand the sketch to Lorraine. And he'd say, Lorraine, do me a favor. Go up to the house, knock on the door. They open the door and say, my husband sketched this nice sketch of your home. He wanted you to have it. And he said, maybe they'll let us in and we can talk about the haunting that they have. And that's how they started.
Ed and Lorraine Warren are pretty much known as the pioneers of modern-day
things. Like today, we're so accustomed to, watching TV shows about paranormal investigations, ghost hunters and stuff like that. But they were the very first ghost hunters.
They're just regular, ordinary people who live next door, who come and make you a cake for your birthday.
It's just something that they had a calling or a vocation to do, and just very normal people. I mean, just have a conversation with them about everyday life. You'd never know the kind of work they do.
They started a society, the New England Society for Psychic Research, in 1952. So, back then there was no internet. There were no ghost hunters on TV, reality shows. There weren't a million demonologists. Back then, Ed was only one of 7 recognized demonologists, religious demonologists in the nation. He was the only lay demonologist. He was the only non-clergy.
It's pretty amazing. Their careers have spanned like 3 decades. Going as far back as I think the 50s and well into the 80s and 90s even.
Has been experiencing supernatural occurrences.
They were the original ones that pioneered the modern day style of ghost hunting. With cameras, with equipment and stuff.
The original ghost hunters. Get my words out eventually.
Yeah. So, Gross offered a reward to anyone who could replicate the voice by trickery, trying to rule things out. No one ever claimed it. The media frenzy turned the house into a public spectacle, even inspiring the films, which we've seen a clip of, The Conjuring 2, as well as a TV series, The Enfield Haunting. In my opinion, The Enfield Haunting, it has a fantastic cast, but it's also the most accurate representation.
See, I haven't seen that one. I need to watch it.
Fantastic. It's on Prime. It was originally made on Sky, but it is the most accurate.
Okay.
And the events also led to intense press coverage from Daily Mirror and BBC, which is British. First documentary broadcast on BBC Radio 4 was in 1978, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But local residents do resent the attention that the house on Green Street gets, and it still gets visitors from around the globe, causing disruption. But it's a nightmare if you actually live in it now.
I bet so. I wouldn't have. I'm surprised the house is still standing and anybody even wants to live in it.
Well, it's a semi-detached, which for people who aren't from England is, would you say, a duplex in America?
Yeah, duplex.
Yeah, connected houses, so they wouldn't be able to because it's on the centre of a council housing estate.
Yeah.
Land's a premium over here. Even if you took the house down and built on it, it's still the land, isn't it?
Yeah, but let's hope that the people live there are skeptics and don't try to reconjure anything. But
well, nothing's ever been brought up, so not since that I'm aware of. I'd have to have another good look into it, but
not everyone was convinced. So skeptics like Joe Nickel and magicians concluded how much of the activity could have been attributed to a prank behavior or a ventriloquist act, especially Janet's voice. Melvin Harris analyzed the levitation photo and called it gymnastics. Janet was an athlete and could easily jump off a bed, but could this have been so clearly photographed back in the 70s? Let's see what they have to say as adults.
There was no blur.
Yeah, there was no blur.
70s technology was nothing on what it is now.
Obviously didn't believe her at all.
The newspaper thought my neighbour was drunk. They don't come across this every day, do they?
When she mentioned the police had seen this, they had to believe them then. You wouldn't ignore the fact that if the police had witnessed something, that was good enough for us. I was in my early 20s. I was a photographer on the Daily Mirror, covering anything, everything. News, sport, fashion, you name it, I shot it. Janet was brought in, and as she came into the suddenly, things just took off. Wherever Janet was, it just seemed to happen. Kids are kids, they'll do funny little things for attention, but not the things that we were seeing, we were witnessing there. They couldn't have done those things. They weren't even in the same room at the time. So no, I quite believe what I was watching was genuine. You'd have chairs tip up, beds turn over, drawers would fly out in a room there was no one in.
Oh my God. The levitation of those girls. They would levitate.
I remember being pulled from my bed. I felt like a cold hand feeling and pushed up into the air. It was like a fox.
You could see on that video that her sister's face was blurred in the bed from movement, but Janet's not blurred.
The shot of Janet levitating was done with a cable running down to where I was, down in the main sort of living room. She was up in the bedroom. We had a camera set up in the corner, motor driven, with stroboscopic flash. I wasn't in the room at the time. I didn't see this until the following day when we processed films and have a look. So that came as a real surprise to everyone, that we knew that she was falling out of bed. We could hear the bang on the floor. We could hear her scream. We knew what was going on. We only had Janet's word for it. But then the following day we look at the pictures. That would prove it.
It became, over the months, a bit of everyday life, which was quite bad. But before that, I certainly thought that ghosts were ghost stories, and they were all fictitious.
We realised that we had to get other people involved, i.e. the Society for Psychical Research, who look into these things. And that's when people like Morris Gross.
Decades later, the Enfield case remains a flashpoint between believers and skeptics. It's still centre stage in paranormal documentaries. It's inspired Ghostwatch and ongoing research in SPR journals. To this day, residents are still bothered by fans visiting the house. That would drive me mad.
Yes.
So what really happened in Enfield? Was it genuine? Or
on some of the
teenage play acting?
documentaries that I did see, a lot of the stuff was actually legit, but because there was reporters around all the time and stuff doesn't happen all the fucking time.
No.
So they did admit that some stuff they did stage just to keep the reporters there to catch actual stuff. But because they did that, while they were children, and it was obvious the stuff that they staged, but because of that, it basically led into skepticism on what was real and what wasn't. I believe the haunting was real, because we very much know demons are real, especially with our history. We've seen enough stuff ourselves. But I don't think half of that stuff those kids could have made up, because let's face it, the internet wasn't interneting back then. Horror movies weren't available at the tip of a finger for a child back then, so how would they have known to do most of that stuff?
Exactly. So basically, genuine poltergeist activity, teenage play acting, it's likely something in between. The evidence remains somewhat inconclusive. But if 98% of it was real, how do you explain the inconsistency? If it was staged, how did so many witnesses get fooled?
Right. And then on top of that, the police reports, like, they tested everything. They tested everything. And let's face it, they would have been embarrassed to even admit to this on camera.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were police, reporters, neighbours. If it was just the friends saying, oh yeah, we were over at their house and this happened, then you'd be like, But a lot of these people weren't directly connected to them in any way. They simply witnessed it. So I think it falls somewhere in between.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then let's not forget the voice recording. Let's go ahead and play that voice recording.
Yeah. There is also on, I think it's Apple TV, another Enfield Haunting series, but although it's reenacted, the voices are all from the recordings.
Yeah,
so they're using the actual recording to make the series.
Yeah.
First challenge the poltergeist to talk.
And this was actually the result. You'll hear here the whistling first of all, and then the barking. Here is this noise.
Keep in mind her mouth was closed this whole time.
I then said to it, I then, as I said on the tape here, I then said to it, if you can whistle and bark and groan, then you can talk. And I asked it to actually say my name.
Well, just a minute. Right, we'll try again. I want you to call out my name. My complete name. Morris Gross. See if you can do that. Hello. Hello. Very good. Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris.
Now that was the first time we heard the voice, and since then we've been hearing it again and again, and it's been getting louder and louder.
What about the voices? When did the voices start?
December the 12th.
December the 12th?
Yes.
And how did they start?
Well, one night Mr. Gross was talking about it about 8:30. He said, all we need now is the voices to talk. And that night I went to bed and I can't remember exactly what happened. And
What's that knocking?
yeah, I can hear it now. I was doing that yesterday morning and Peggy was on her own. So she come in to us because it wasn't her, she come in. We sat together and we heard it. And I counted down my knocks and there was 14 altogether. And it's doing it again now.
That was 3 knocks just now.
Yes, it goes in 3s and 2s. Now we first got contacted, this was when Mr. Gross said, if there's anyone there, knock twice with yes, and if not, one for no.
So you see right there that it was happening while they were talking about something completely different. It was going on while they were talking about something completely different, and then you heard the banging that they said happened the day prior.
It's crazy. It's I mean, I think I was just saying there is, as well as the 2 things we've already mentioned, the movie and the Enfield Haunting, on Apple TV is a series where, although it's reenacted, the voices are all from the recording and the actors are just miming. That's worth a watch because it is the most accurate of what they were going through at the time. You know, especially with it being recordings, it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
It was a rough time for them. I mean, 18 months is a long time to have your lives invaded if it's for just a hoax.
Yeah. Thank you for grabbing a brew with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know. Do you believe or are you skeptical? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Don't forget that the link to donate to Dan Riviera's family is also in the description bar, and send us your unhinged, creepy stories so that to read on Wednesdays and grab your brew, and email them to grabyourbrew@gmail.com. Also, reaction videos, just remember to label them so we don't open them by mistake too soon.
Is it still too soon? Okay. Yes, please support Dan Riviera's family. The last I watched on their live, they actually raised 100K. But you do need to keep in mind that Dan did not earn a whole lot of money, and his wife is now supporting their child alone. So please check them out. Again, very proud of Alton and Matt Rye for their new endeavors. I wish that I could have been submitted for that. Did you see their giveaway on their live? So when they first did their live, they were doing a giveaway like for whoever purchased their boxes, and all the money from those proceeds went to the Dan Riviera, his family. But then when they were telling us what house they purchased, when they were revealing it, these winners have their self and one other ticket to fly from wherever they are to go stay 2 nights in the Warren house. I know we're going into the creepy skeptical stuff, but I think that would be going in way too strong, and I think I'd be sitting on the lawn pissing myself. Like, don't touch me, don't touch me. Praise Jesus. With Dad's holy water.
Oh God, am I witch bells?
Yeah. We're protected either way, either by a witch.
Just for diversity.
We've got the Bible stuff and the witch bells, so we're covered all area aspects over here. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Have an amazing week.